All right, let's jump right in. You absolutely know the scene. You unlock your front door after a long, exhausting day, and before you even step fully inside, it is just total chaos. Your dog is spinning in circles, jumping up, maybe frantically grabbing a toy, basically exploding with what looks like completely random, uncontrollable energy. Now, most of us just laugh it off, right? Or, let's be honest, maybe we get a little annoyed and tell them to calm down. But what if I told you that this explosion of energy isn't just randomness at all? So let's dive right into this. Why exactly does your dog practically explode the second you walk through that door? We really need to rethink this daily burst of excitement, because what looks like just uncontainable, frantic behavior is actually way deeper and, honestly, far more important to your dog's psychological well-being than it seems on the surface. You see, we've kind of all bought into this myth that it's just pure, unadulterated excitement, just a happy dog doing happy dog things. But science actually tells a totally different story. This is a deeply wired biological reunion ritual. Think about it. In the wild, when members of a pack reunite after being apart, they don't just give each other a subtle head nod and go about their day. They have to engage in a really complex greeting involving movement, scent, and energy. It's literally an ancient operating system running inside your modern dog to verify one vital thing. Okay, you're safe, I'm safe, and our bond is totally intact. Now, here's where it gets super fascinating. What happens when we interfere with that ancient system? If you walk in and immediately yell down or turn your back to put away your groceries, you aren't actually teaching your dog calmness. You are interrupting a crucial biological loop. Shutting that greeting down leaves their nervous system registering that the connection didn't complete, which can actively spike their stress levels. On the flip side, the science shows that dogs who get consistent, warm greetings have significantly lower cortisol levels for hours afterward. It's a real game changer. So how do we fix this? Here is your first truly actionable takeaway for today. Stop rushing when you get home. Let's look at how to actually complete this loop. First, just pause for 30 seconds. Seriously, just wait. Second, get down on their level. And third, let them express that energy. Let them circle, let them wag, let them do their whole routine. By simply giving them this short window, you aren't reinforcing bad behavior, you are giving them the biological security they have been craving all day long. Okay, let's keep moving chronologically through the routine. What happens right after that initial jump and spin? You know exactly what I'm talking about. The jumping fades, but then they get incredibly close. They start sniffing your hands, your pants, your shoes, sometimes almost obsessively, right? Again, our assumptions here are completely backwards. We assume they just missed us and really like our smell. But actually, scratch that. Your dog is running one of the most advanced data collection scans in the entire animal kingdom. They are not just smelling you. They are actively downloading information. 300 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering number of olfactory receptors inside your dog's nose. It makes their sense of smell tens of thousands of times more sensitive than ours. They don't just see the world like we do. They literally breathe it in. And when you walk in that door, that supercomputer of a nose gets straight to work. During this intense scan, they are downloading an unbelievable amount of data. They're figuring out where you have been, who or what other animals you interacted with, and get this, they can even detect your current stress levels and subtle hormonal changes in your body. To your dog, you didn't just walk through the door. You walked in carrying the entire story of the time you were apart. So if you push them away because you're in a hurry to check the mail, you're basically slamming a book shut right in their face. You're interrupting their primary way of understanding your world. So my advice? Let them read the story. Just pause and offer the back of your hand right at nose level. Give them those few seconds to sniff. As they process that data, you will literally feel their body soften. Their brain is finally saying, okay, data confirmed, you are safe. Now, once the jumping and the sniffing subside, there is another behavior that almost every single dog owner completely misreads. What about the stretch? You know the one, they drop their chest to the floor, stretch their front legs way out, and stick their rear up in the air. It looks exactly like they just woke up from a long nap on the living room rug and need to stretch out some stiff muscles. But believe it or not, this specific physical movement is actually a highly targeted, highly intentional piece of canine communication. Animal behaviorists actually call this the greeting bow. It is a selective physical signal triggered by a specific person's arrival to communicate a readiness to reconnect. Think about the timing for a second. They don't just do this randomly at 2 in the afternoon when the house is completely empty. They do it the exact moment you arrive. It's your presence triggering it, which proves it isn't about physical tension at all. But wow, the biology goes even deeper here. When your dog presses their paws hard into the ground during this bow, tiny glands between their paw pads release invisible pheromones. They are literally leaving a scent-based imprint right on your floor that says, "This moment matters." They are intentionally anchoring you into their world. This is selective communication, reserved just for you. So let's zoom out and look at how this sequence builds across the timeline of your return. First, we have the seconds-long initial jump. Then, the minutes-long sense scan and that greeting bow. But then, we enter the final and longest phase, the hours-long reset. Because after the active greeting is over, all that hyper-energy shifts into something much, much quieter. Eventually, your dog likely comes over, leans really heavily against your leg, or maybe just stands quietly within arm's reach. We typically look at that and think our dog is just finally running out of gas and naturally calming down. In truth, something much more profound is happening. They are actively regulating their nervous system through you. As behaviorists love to point out, this isn't your dog coming down. This is your dog regulating through you. Dogs are highly proximity-based animals. All day long, they've been managing every random sound, every weird shadow in your house, entirely alone. And that builds up this low-level, continuous tension. When you return, your physical presence alone becomes the tool they use to stabilize. And this isn't just some cute, emotional theory. It is proven physiology. Just existing in the same room as you actively lowers their heart rate, reduces those cortisol levels, and physically shifts their body out of a stress state. You don't have to issue a single command. You don't need to hand them a special treat. Your mere presence brings them back to a safe biological baseline. How cool is that? Which brings us to the final, quietest, and honestly most vulnerable part of your dog's daily routine. Think about it for a second. Later in the evening, when the house is finally completely quiet, where exactly does your dog choose to sleep? Very often they'll curl up right on your feet or pressed as hard as they can against your leg on the couch. We usually see this and think, oh look, they're taking a simple, casual nap. But in the animal kingdom, this is a massive, profound declaration of trust. Sleep is the single most vulnerable state an animal can possibly enter. When they sleep, every defense mechanism they have shuts down completely. Behavioral science calls this secure attachment. It's defined as a behavioral state where an animal drops all defenses and is no longer monitoring for threats simply because they have found total safety. So the crucial point here is this. Out of every soft dog bed and quiet tucked away corner in your entire house, they choose to sleep pressed against you. Their biology has literally concluded that you are the absolute safest place in the world. And honestly, this beautifully ties our entire deep dive together. Every single step we've talked about was building to this exact conclusion. The frantic jumping at the door, the obsessive sense scan, that specific greeting bow, leaning against your leg, all of it was a necessary biological sequence required to reach this ultimate state of total vulnerability and peace. When your dog falls asleep beside you, it was literally never just a nap. It was trust reaching its final form. That seemingly mundane daily routine that you barely even notice anymore, it's actually a miraculous biological testament to the bond you two share. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which of these biological signs are you going to watch for tonight? I challenge you to actually change your routine when you walk through the door today. Don't rush it. Don't scold them. Just pause. Get on their level and read their true language. It will absolutely change your relationship forever. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.